first of all, hi, and thank you so much for sitting down with me and doing this interview. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. It's great to be here. I mean, I'm always in the same kitchen these days, but it's great to be talking to somebody.
Yeah,
How are you? Are you
I'm good
good?
too. Thank you so much. Kind of the same, I guess.
Great.
Anyway, I noticed that today you guys are celebrating the anniversary of your debut album. How do you actually look back to that experience?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we released the debut album 2 years ago to date, so that's not a long time, but at the same time, there's been so much happening in the world, or in our case, in the last 10 months, nothing happening really, but it feels like a long time ago, even though we just finished the tour that we did for that album. And looking back to those times, we just posted a picture from the day when the album was released, and right the next day we went to Nivala and the venue Tuiskula, where I think like Metallica played in the 80s, and it's a legendary place in the middle of nowhere, and it was like a really memorable way to start our like the tour of our first album. We played together with great guys from Arion, and it wasn't a big turnout, but the most important thing was that we were playing a show for people who were able to buy our record, that we like an actual record, because before that we were always like this like demo upcoming band. So yeah, looking back at those times, it makes me smile.
Yeah, I guess a lot has changed since then as well. You're also releasing your album through Playground Music. I'm not sure anymore if you released your debut through that label as
We
well.
did, yeah, we did.
How has the collaboration been for this time around then?
Well, it's good. Like it really gives us freedom. Our deal means that we sort of share the profit, also the losses, and in that sense, they don't tell us what to do about the songs or anything. It's mainly they trust us in bringing out the best of what Tyrantti can bring, whatever that is, and we trust them in manufacturing, making sure that the albums are manufactured the right way and promoted well on radio as well as online blogs, etc. So yeah, it's I'm proud to be a playground artist.
Okay, so yeah, Orjaplaneetta is your second album. How are you feeling about the upcoming release? I suppose it's a little bit double with the situation in the world right now.
It is, but like holding this record that you also have already and nobody else probably, it feels great. It feels amazing because even if we didn't, like, we can't do a tour right now that was already planned, we still put the same effort into making this album as good as possible, and we spent time in the studio like in a normal process of making an album. And now that we can listen to it at home, we just can't wait to share it with everybody, because we're really proud of the record. I think it's approximately 666 times better than the previous record, which was pretty good in my
Uh,
opinion.
yeah, I think this album, it sounds a little bit more like you guys were able to experiment a little bit more, especially if you take the last track. How do you feel yourself about the album in general?
I'm glad you brought that up. We have been able to experiment a lot with the album. We kind of our confidence grew a lot after the first record, getting some good reviews and like seeing that people really kind of got what we were trying to do. But with this record, we didn't feel like we want to repeat the same thing all over again. We wanted to bring in some more influences from music that we grew up with, and maybe if the first album was like 80s Judas Priest meets the first 3 albums of Iron Maiden. Maybe this is like the mid or late 80s Iron Maiden style with like science fiction themed lyrics and especially, as you mentioned, the last track, the title track of the record. I believe many Finnish bands haven't released 11-minute long epic progressive metal tracks, at least not lately in Finnish language. So we felt like we had a good sense of freedom while doing this, and I'm glad you could hear it.
Yeah, I actually, because I mainly listen to progressive metal, I guess, but I was really surprised with that track because indeed it sounds a bit more proggy, maybe in a sense, than the rest of the album. But I was wondering, like, was it writing process for that song specifically different than the rest of the album?
Well, most of the songs like start or embark with jams that we do at the rehearsal place, and the same goes with that track's main riffs and basically but basically we decided that, hey, we need this song. We, like, now or never, we're gonna write a song that's as long as this and it still can hold itself till the end, like, and in the end, of course, we putting together elements and parts did need a little bit more sitting down from our guitar player and main songwriter Henkka's part. But all in all, we did play the song at the rehearsal place. We did play it a couple of times together before entering the studio. And then we still felt like, okay, this, like, even if we might not play it live every time, we still feel like it's a song made by Tyrantti and not made at the studio by somebody who, yeah.
Yeah. Are you maybe nervous to present it to the fans because it is so different, or are you comfortable like that they're gonna like it?
Oh, you mean the title track?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're quite confident with it. We feel like what we share with our fans is basically the taste in music, and maybe those influences that we have are also something that has influenced the youth of many people that listen to us. And of course, I think in these times when you can like see the data of like how many times people listen to different songs, we're going to see that the singles that we released, like Veritikeri and Aja, they're going to be among the top streaming songs, and maybe that track will be at the bottom. So it's not for everybody, but I feel like I'm confident that a lot of people will think it's our best song, because we all do.
Yeah. Is that also the reason that you picked that one as the title track?
Well, actually, Orjaplaneetta, meaning the planet of the slaves, was already we already decided that the album was going to be called that a couple of years ago, and hence we decided that if we're going to have a long epic final track on the album, that's going to be its name, and it's going to sort of knit together all the themes that we repeat in lyrics for the album, because it's a concept album with that's following a theme and a script sort of. So yeah, we always knew that this is we're gonna have like the final track of the album is gonna be called Orjaplaneetta, and it's gonna be so fucking long.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned the translation of the title, Planet of the Slaves. Is that kind of a play with Tyrantti, your band name, or how did you come up with that in general?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, it's something of a concept that we created already during the songwriting sessions of the first album. On the first album, we have this track called Konesydän, which basically means machine heart or mechanical heart. And already that sort of Planet of the Slaves theme is already in that song. and we just decided to spread it even further, just because Konesydän became a sort of a fan favorite, and people asked about the lyrics, if what we mean with them, and so forth.
Anyway, so you're talking about a concept album. I think the previous album didn't have like a concept, right?
No, we were planning it, but in the end, the first album was a collection of or a compilation of the songs that we wrote during the first years of the band. So if we came up with a song that's gonna be like Totemi, which is an Indian or Native American theme, or fantasy songs like that, we just thought it's not gonna fit in the same album. We're not gonna try to squeeze things into a concept album when we necessarily don't have that in our hands. But this time we decided that this is all gonna be part of the same album that you can definitely distinguish.
Okay, cool. Well, let's talk a little bit about the concept then. What can you tell us about it?
Well, the Planet of the Slaves refers to a dystopian post-apocalyptic world, naturally, where machines have overtaken humanity. And in that sense, all the themes and all the songs on the album are sort of aligned. Following a narrative of that sort. It's not like you don't have to be reading the lyrics while you while you listen to it, but it doesn't go in a it's like it's not like a story you should follow by the minute. It's not linear. But yeah, basically that's the theme.
Yeah. Do you feel like composing a concept album is different from like without having a concept? Do you think that kind of influences the songs and what's necessary to be there in a way? Or
yeah, that's a good question. I think it does affect our songwriting, because at some point when we maybe had 5 songs ready, we thought okay, well, this is going to be a concept album, and this is it's going to start with a fast song and end with a long one, like that. We felt just like on a regular album, but this time even more precisely, we felt like we need a slower song because we need this part of the story told, and this is something you can't scream or shout, but this is more like song Valon Uhka, for example, which is on the B side of the record. It's something that we felt okay, this song doesn't need a chorus, like a regular chorus that you would have in a hit single. We felt okay, this is the storytelling part of the album. We still made a quite catchy melody to the chorus of that song, but it's still not quite like the single tracks.
So, well, talking about the singles, the reason why you picked those, was it mostly because they're a bit more radio friendly, I guess, or?
I guess that's what every band does. Even our label didn't tell us which songs to pick singles, but we felt ourselves that, well, first of all, Aja, the first single and the first track of the album, we released it already in April 2020 because we felt like we need to release music. We had a tour planned for the spring, and we had some festival shows that we were supposed to play, so we felt like we want to release something, and that song was already ready, so we just felt like, okay, we're gonna release Aja right now, and that was a good idea. Even though we didn't have the rest of the album ready, we had some songs and some riffs, but still. And then but then when we we were planning to release the rest of the singles or pick the rest of the singles, we just played our songs, listened to the demo tapes that we made, and just decided that, okay, Veritigeri, like this is like the one that's going to break the silence, because we hadn't released anything in 6 months at that point. So we just felt, okay, this is going to be a music video. This is going to go out, and it went really well. It probably became our biggest hit so far, if you can call it that. And then the third single, Toinen maailma, is something completely different from all the songs that we released as singles before. And it's not necessarily like, I don't know, like maybe this is something our label wouldn't have told us to do, to release that one as a single. But for us, we feel like there's this certain number of people who will buy the record or go and stream the whole record, but there's still the majority of people who just click and listen to the singles, or they hear the singles in a Spotify playlist or on the radio. And we wanted to showcase this side of the album as well as a single, because as you've listened to the album, you know, there's quite a few fast tracks with like catchy choruses, if you might say. But okay, our fourth single, Phoenix, is exactly that. So we just decided that one of the four singles should be something different, just so people would know from the singles that, okay, this album is something more than just fast tracks, guitar solos, screaming, and relentless drum beats.
Now, I'm also wondering the fact that you mentioned that Aya was done before the rest of the album. So that means you wrote the album, I guess, mostly during this whole 2020 shit show.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the pandemic had some kind of an influence on the album as well? Like, did you guys have more time to write the songs, for instance?
Yeah, I think so. I think most of the demos were already done before, but maybe if we had the pressure of going on tour or playing festivals or shows, we wouldn't have had as much time as we had this time with making the album. So I think the record is definitely better because of COVID-19. So thank you, bat-eating guy in China.
Also, you mentioned doing those music videos, for instance. How was that process for you like? Because I guess maybe you couldn't do things as you would normally do, although in Finland, I guess the restrictions are not that bad then again.
Yeah, well, actually, we did. We had a music video planned for Aya, and we couldn't shoot it at all because the production company is based in Joensuu in eastern Finland, whereas Henkka lives in Helsinki, and during the time when we were supposed to film it, Henkka couldn't leave the Uusimaa region at all. So actually, we have footage for the music video that the production company already shot without us, that was never used on any music video. And then when we finally, because we couldn't shoot the parts where we were as a band, we were supposed to play on ice and all that kind of cool shit that we later managed to do on Veritigeri's video. And of course, we couldn't film take any shots where there would be a lot of people, and we would have maybe liked that, to have like a fake audience in there, but no. So we just ended up going solo.
Also, the artwork of your singles and also the album is really cool.
Thank you.
What can you tell us about the artist and how did you end up working together?
Yeah, well, kind of when we were planning this concept album, we of course knew that it's not going to be a complete album if the artwork doesn't sort of support the themes that you can hear on the album. So we had a meeting with two really talented artists, Julia Riitijoki, who's responsible for the cover and all the covers and most of the single covers, and also Tuomas Valtanen, who made the single cover of Veritigeri and has also been drawing most of our T-shirts. And we sort of decided the colors together and started talking like what kind of should there be, like, because it's the planet of the slaves, should the planet be like what color should it be? Well, we decided to go red and blue, and sort of those same shades, same colors are in every single cover, and will also be in the colors that our lighting engineer works when we finally get to play shows. Orjaplaneetta tour, which is called the Planet Slavery Tour, modestly, it will have like follow the same theme, that our stage setup will be something. Of course, it's pretty common in metal music, especially progressive metal, where you can often see like really impressive stage setups. But we're planning to do something like even in the smallest clubs to sort of make the experience complete, meaning that we're gonna use some lighting also in the room and so forth. But yeah, that all comes from the artists that are responsible, and mainly Julia Riitijoki, and she's done a great job with the cover, and maybe in the future as well. And she's worked with great artists, like she's worked with J.P. Ahonen, who's responsible for Beelzebubs and so forth. So it was kind of a natural choice to ask, because somebody we know to do this, who also knows something about heavy metal.
Now you mentioned also the live shows already. I was wondering because well, you're also you're working for a booking and management agency.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's important for having these kind of extra things like the lighting and such? Is that something you extra think about because of your job?
Yeah, well, yeah, from my job's perspective, as a booking agent for different bands, but of course I want to think long term, and thinking long term means that like even if we would like a show in Helsinki would leave us more money if we cut the lighting engineer and the sound engineer and just did it quite simply. We would have more money of the ticket sales of that particular gig. But with Tyrantti, we're not planning to do one tour and then just go away with all our money. We're planning to stay in the metal scene forever and just grow things bigger. And we just want to make sure that wherever we go and play in Finland or abroad, no matter how small the stage or the venue, we want to make sure that whoever comes there and pays for the ticket gets something worth their money. Like even if we're not Metallica or Iron Maiden, we still like somebody still decided to spend their Saturday night with us, and it's not just going to be 60 minutes of like metal. It's going to be more than that. At least that's what we aim for.
Now, obviously, playing concerts is a little bit out of the question nowadays, I guess. But what do you think about these new initiatives like concert streaming? I know that Tyrantti is really like a live band, so I can imagine that that's something you're trying to avoid.
Yeah, we're trying to avoid it. We played 2 live stream shows actually last summer. It was an interesting situation. It was more like performing for a music video, like when we were doing that. So because we were lacking the whole interaction with the fans or the crowd. And when this record comes out, I don't think we will be playing live stream shows. I think the whole industry has learned that it's not a way to make a profit, let alone like to even manage the costs of the live stream production. at least in our case, when we want to bring the whole show in it, we just don't want to play with an acoustic guitar. That's not a record release show. A record release show is where there's like pyros and shit, and that's exactly what we're planning to provide. So in this case, it means that you might have to wait for our record release show a little bit longer than we hoped.
All right. Yeah, I hope at least maybe in summer something might happen, but I guess we don't really know. So yeah, I think that's it for my questions. Do you still have any thoughts you want to share with people who are watching this?
Well, I mean, thank you for this interview. It was really great that you wanted to talk with me, and I'm hoping whoever watches this and hears this, go and listen to our new record. Even if you didn't like the first one, go and hate the second one even more, because it's everything that the first album was, but more. It's just, there's more melodies, there's more screaming, there's more slow songs, there's more like the drum beats, like this drum sounds, the whole sounds, this just sounds so good to me. As you can probably, this is my first interview that I'm doing about this album, and you can see and feel my enthusiasm. Maybe in the 10th interview I'll be like, well, this is record, but buy it. But right now, this is a product that we put a lot of effort and a lot of emotion in, and I hope you can hear that.